This video was recorded the day before I became seriously ill and went into the hospital. So enjoy this. I worked it out and I finally got it edited today. So enjoy this. I think it's a really good subject. And it gets very explicit, but not personal on my relationship and or his relationship. But this is what I learned, and I really think you're going to enjoy it. So let's go. Oh, whoops, here. That's for you. That's for you and me. Cheers. Well, I've got a letter here, and I'm going to read it to you. It's from Chris Brewer. Hi, Lee. I want to thank you for all the great content you provide your subscribers on a daily basis. Yes, it's good to be wanted, you know. I need you guys, but I definitely do, and I need encouragement. I like to cheerlead you, but you cheerlead me too, so it's a win-win, isn't it? You are amazing. Oh, really? Thank you. I love it. I do have a personal question for you about your healing journey from your recent separation several months ago. You really seem to be very strong and positive in your life, and I admire your ability to move forward as a solo female. Are you able to share with us how you are now with the separation and what you did that was most impactful for your healing? Thank you for all you do. You know what, Chris? That's incredible. And this has been happening a lot. When I think about something, I'm thinking, yeah, I think I want to talk about that. I get a request for it. That happened with the budget. I was going to do a budget. I haven't had it all set up, written out and I took the time to add everything up. And then I got that request. And it was like, wow. Okay, well, yeah, I was going to talk about that. And I probably will, throughout. I mean, not personal issues, but I think that relationships are really the juice of life. I mean, it's a circle of life. For two people to get together and then they form a whole new generation of babies and people. So relationships really are everything. And our relationship with God and our relationships with friends and things like that. But a love relationship is a very special thing. And this, to me, it's the juice of life. So anything that I can offer. Now, I want to talk, I do have some notes because I want to stay on course because sometimes I can wander off in my thoughts. I want to stay on course with this. And some of it is going to be about what I've learned about relationships. But see, that was part of the journey, is I wanted to delve into it because before, I really hadn't had a relationship for a very long time. 25 years. If you've seen my video, well, 25, probably 26, 27 years now. I forget kind of when I did that video, but 25 years, I did not even date. Oh my gosh. So there was no romantic relationships going on. And then there was this last one. And so I was like, my head was spinning. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's time to learn a little bit more about it. There's a whole research, there's a whole learning area and study area on love. What is love, So I will be going through a few things in this, not just, and I don't want to get personal because both parties involved, like what really happened. I can only guess that what did happen happens with a lot of other people. These are common issues anyways, and I touch on a couple of them, and I think was applicable for the both of us. So I do have to blow my nose quite a bit. I'll just give you a clue. Okay, it's raining outside. Today is Easter. It's raining outside. It just started. It's going to rain for a while. The sky is gray. So, with that said, let's get started with my notes. One thing that I realized in a separation and in healing from that, because it was just to let you know, it was quite devastating. It really was devastating. But self-esteem and self-respect, I knew that in the back of my mind that had to be there. I mean, for me to move on, that had to be there. And it said, and I wrote down, I have to live with myself more than anyone else. Isn't that the truth? We have to live with ourselves more than anyone. We have to spend more time with ourselves than anyone. In fact, we're always with ourselves because we are ourselves. So if we are going to be with ourselves 24/7, even in our dreams, we're dreaming, that we have to have self-esteem and self-love. We just do, and self-respect. One of the greatest things we can learn is to trust ourselves. And I did it's just amazing. I really want to say this. I got pushback on it by just a couple of people, not many at all, but I did. And I think people think that the only trust you should ever have is with your maker. That's it. But I have to disagree. We have to trust ourselves, or we never can even get that far. We have to love ourselves, or we can never know what love is. We have to respect ourselves and have some self-esteem, or why would we even go there? Why would we even go there? So I believe that it's okay. We need to have our own self-esteem and our self-respect. And we have to trust ourselves because we're with each other. We're with ourselves more than any other person in the entire world. So we have to have faith, and you have to have faith in your own word. You have to have, everybody has to. You can't push all of your fears and all of the blame and all on the partner that isn't there anymore. Because you know what? They got to do the same. They have to learn to trust themselves. They need their own self-esteem, their own self-respect, and they have to have faith in their own word because they're also with themselves more than anyone else. So I'm not going to just pull that and say, well, I need my self-esteem because, somebody hurt me. One thing I found is that the other person's probably saying the exact same thing. I keep seeing these memes throughout social media, and it makes me laugh because I have figured out through all of this research that they say the reason they're silent is because they know what they did, and they have no respect for themselves. They know that they hurt you, and yeah, you know what? In my mind, that both parties are saying the exact same thing because everybody's coming from their own perspective of what happened or how, and I'm sure that the other one in my situation is saying, oh, she hurt me or yeah. And I'm saying, oh, he hurt, no, everybody's seeing the same thing. So it makes me laugh. And a couple of times I actually said that and I put a comment on it. I don't anymore because anybody can put out an inspiration or a meme anytime they want to without being criticized over it. But I see so many of them. They know what they did. They know how they hurt you, and they're, you get to walk away from it. It's like, well, he or she's saying the exact same thing. So, unless it's a real abusive situation, Okay, the worst thing you can do, here's the key, folks. The worst thing that you can do after a relationship breakup that's serious, and I think in your heart, okay, is to stay in contact with that person. Yeah. I was given that advice, and I kept seeing that advice coming through my feed on all of my social medias, and I thought, yeah, So I did the right thing. You have to cut off all contact. I mean, it's true. You just have to. If you need to, you can go through somebody else. If there needs to be some reconciliation, whether there's finances involved, there's a divorce involved, or whatever, they have contact with other people, like in your family or your friends, that you can go through. But for the time being, it has to be a no contact. That's the only way you're ever going to heal. Otherwise, what they say is you're going to keep competing with each other. And yeah, and it's just not good. I mean, I'm sure that might be self-explanatory. So after a relationship, it breaks up, for the full healing, you need to cut off all contact, which is what I did. And I think the healing has, I think that's been key to my healing, not continually being in contact with them. And I'm sure that he probably enjoys that too, because, then he doesn't have to be in contact with me. And then he can go heal. Both parties have to heal. And I think that's really important, because I think in the very end of it all, any grieving or any bitterness it's going to dissipate. It really is. And so in the end, I think both parties are somewhat going to want the other one to do well. Okay? And next, be an independent thinker. That is so important. Get rid of anyone who attempts to define you in a limiting way. These are things I have picked up along the way. And you say, several months. Yeah, it's been several months. October, November, December, January, February, and March. It's only been 6 months. I've been half a year. I'm going to give it a year. Yeah. So, but I'm using all of this advice that I picked up along the way, doing research and saying, what is this all about? What is this love thing all about? And what is this healing all about? So don't let anybody limit you. Get rid of them. There are so many people in the world. You don't have to be with people who limit you. And if that is any of your family members, you need to pull back from them. You don't want to be limited. In fact, family members can actually limit you in a way that, because they feel they own you in a family, like you're my sister or you're my daughter or, whatever. They feel that they kind of can own you and tell you what to do and be brutally honest with you or whatever. No. Don't let anybody limit you, even family. Now, here's another thing I want to bring up that I have learned. There are so many types, of partners. There is so much these days talk of childhood trauma. There are so many different types of people out there. So what happens is, when you first meet somebody, there's a mask up. I mean, you're putting on your best. And there's a mask up. I mean, we all do it, right? And it isn't till later that the mask kind of come off, right? We start seeing patterns. We start seeing behaviors. And we think, But the problem is, by then, our hearts have kind of opened up to these people. And we kind of fallen in love with them. So, and I guess they call them red flags or whatever. Yeah. There's a lot of green flags too. I mean, obviously, they said, come on in. They, waving the green flag, bringing you in home, bringing you in, to the mothership, right? Well, later on, I mean, it's going to happen. You're going to see the true person. And there's so many different types of people. And there's so many people walking around, as they say, they keep talking about it, with trauma going on from the past. Now, in days gone by, let's just go back. Let's go back to the pioneer days, okay? I mean, they came across the country in the pioneers and they settled, and they're going to make a farm, okay? And they're going to build a log cabin. Who gives a crap about childhood trauma? I'm sure they got a billion of it, Back then, feelings weren't as important as they are now. But we're not as busy as we were before. So people are kind of looking at that. We don't have to stay together to keep the kids together. We don't have to stay together because there's nobody else around. The next farm is 50 miles away, right? And we want to raise a family so we can have kids. You know the scenario. Well, now there seems to be a lot of childhood trauma that people have to go through. I think we have more leisure time on our hands to think about these things. So one that seems to keep cropping up that I noticed is, and I know that you've met these people, they seem to be emotionally unavailable. They don't want to show their emotions. And one of the reasons they say that they are is because they were hurt or a parent didn't give them a lot of emotions and they can't really give it. Somehow they were hurt by it and they're closed up. So they want to, they really do, because really, I mean, our whole lives are like, if you think about it, involved with, like I mentioned, to be loved and to share intimacy with somebody. But there are a lot of people that can't do that. I mean, it's not that easy to do for everybody. So I wrote down, many are closed off emotionally and what they'll do is they'll punish the other one for being hurt by his or her own trauma toxicity. So what happens is a lot of people, and this is the reason I went with this one, and there's so many others. There's narcissism where they don't have any empathy towards, other people. That's scary. You can learn narcissistic behaviors from other narcissists if you spend a lot of time with them. So, because you're constantly having to protect yourself and defend yourself against another narcissistic person. But you know how it is, like, if you feel that if they're emotionally unavailable, and then you say, well, why don't you do, and then what happens is the other partner can punish you for keep bringing it up. Like, I don't want to talk about this. Why do you keep wanting to bring this up? Don't talk. And so it leaves one partner feeling empty, and the other one feeling like they're always hiding. They're hiding away, So is that good for a relationship? No. No, it's not. I know, I got that. Let me have another sip of coffee. Sorry about the cough. Sounds bad, doesn't it? Well, it's not good. Okay, so here's another thing too that I wrote down. Hookup culture. It's taken over our actual culture, and it limits commitments, and a lot of people are getting hurt. That's one of the reasons I like bringing this up. I know a lot of my audience is an older audience, more my age, but I do have young people out there, and here's something I want to mention. This is so important to figure this out, because guess what? We've got daughters, we've got sons, we've got granddaughters, grandsons, who are just getting into the actual dating and commitment areas of their lives, meeting other people. But here's what's raging out there, and it's scary, is the hookup culture. Yeah. Commitment to me is a big deal. It's a big deal. Commitment is a big deal. And it's sad when that it doesn't go with everybody. You've got to make a commitment. And I will mention this again. Here's another one. If you can't truly communicate with your partner, what's the point? I think that's one of the things. What's the point? So, I just mentioned commitment. Let's say you got married with somebody, and you now find yourself in a situation. This is just a scenario. I'm not relaying it to this, but it did bring this up with some of my family members. Things they've gone through. Is that if you can't communicate, the communication stopped at some point. They had their mask on. Oh, I'm a great communicator. But then when there's a commitment, I'm not really communicating anymore because I really don't have to. Well, there's where the commitment comes in. Otherwise you're just going to be in a hookup culture. Yeah, okay, well, I'm done communicating. The other says, well, then I'm done with you. Bye. And, in 4 or 5 years in, and where's the commitment? So the key is to find somebody in the first place. Isn't that would be the key to somebody who, the red flags weren't there. That they can communicate very well, and they will continue communicating throughout. And I'll come back to this too. Here's one other thing that I did not do. And I did talk about this. This is going to be a long video, by the way, so sit back, relax, because I got a lot to say. I think this is important stuff. Are you taking notes? Okay. Don't shame yourself for going through the grieving process. Use self-compassion. I was putting out some inspirational quotes and things like that. I think it was near like December and January. And I had some people say, I was just expressing myself. If anybody else was going through it, this is what I was going through. Is anybody else going through this? Oh, I did have some that said, oh, knock it off. You're too sad, or, go, what one said, oh, go find yourself a young guy or something. No, I mean, yeah, that's for somebody else, not for me. And, but they were trying to shame me for grieving and putting it on social media, which comes to the main key. Here's the main key with moi. My relationship was very public. I introduced you to my new relationship. My relationship person was in videos. You commented on him, you loved him, you fell in love with him too, and then bam. Now my breakup is public. Now, can you imagine? I mean, I had a couple of my friends say, I've never met anybody more strong than you, Lee, with what you went through. And I thought, well, that's kind of okay. But now I look back and think about it, oh my gosh. I mean, I could have went off and crawled in a hole and came back out a year later, no videos, no nothing, and come out a year later and said, okay, I'm fine now. No, I took you with me through the process, and thank you for going through it with me. And you're still going through it with me, because I still have a little bit more to go. But this was public. This was so public. So how could I had to use self-compassion for myself. I had to trust myself that I'm doing the right thing. And I had to have self-respect. I had to have dignity through this all and take off my mask. I mean, I basically took off the mask and said, this is me. This is who I am. And thank you for going through this with me and being my friend online and following me and watching my videos. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for being with me. And a lot of you were very encouraging, I really must say. You need to be 100% responsible for your decisions, because you're going to have a lot of decisions going on. Oh my gosh. After that, yeah, what are you going to do? I mean, I really did want to go to Quartzsite. And, there's where my tribe was there. But I'm so glad I made the decision. I had to trust my decision. I had a lot of people saying, oh, please come, please come. And I actually thought about it. But then when I would think about it, I'd start crying all the time. And I thought, oh, this ain't going to happen. It was his way of saying, you ain't going. So I didn't go. And I'm so glad I didn't go. I got this healing going on, and I really had a good time. I met a lot of new people. So I think that has helped also. Here's one. Don't negotiate your change with people who want you to remain the same. Yeah. Well, I don't know if this would be applicable just for me. I mean, maybe some of my followers said, oh, we miss Paul, we need, or you're changing or whatever. Yeah, I had a few, but nothing to even write home about, right? So, I mean, I maybe had a couple, but I'm talking about maybe family members, children, yeah, I mean, you never know. They may not want the newer version of you. And I feel like I don't know. I'll ask you, what do you think? Do you think that there's a new version of me since 6 months ago? Maybe. A little bit, I think. Well, I know I'm happier. And I'm happy because I've been taking the time to heal. And I think that is so important. There we go. Okay, next. We got one whole card, 2 sides down. We're on 28 minutes. This may run long, but I think you'll enjoy this. And I wrote down, we all want to be loved and have intimacy, but not all can let themselves be vulnerable. And that's one of the issues. That's one of the things that's going on with hookup culture. I think we just entirely have way too much time on our hands thinking about, my childhood trauma. And then we use that as an excuse of not really loving the partner that we seem to have latched onto. But I've also read, let's go on the flip side of that, in some ways, I got coffee burping going on. In some ways, I remember reading that we tend to look for a partner that can heal our childhood trauma. Wow. And I mean, if there wasn't a hookup culture going on and you chose that, you probably would be committed. You might not be the happiest in it, but you keep going for the kids, and to keep the farm running, things like that. But in the hookup culture, that ain't gonna last, because they're on. If you picked them for that reason, they're not gonna show up for your needs. Yeah, because they're gonna probably act like the same people that traumatized you in the childhood, right? Okay. We must love ourselves, and we need to go inward. And I think that's what I did. I was so angry. I was so sad and so angry. I went inward. I really, really, really did. I isolated myself because I did not want to be around other nomads who are going to say, oh, you doing okay? Or, I saw him down the road. No. I don't want to talk about it. I need to go. I need to refresh myself and let it all go. I need to feel what I feel. Did I cry a lot? Oh my God, I will tell you. Cry. Yeah, I cried every day. Sometimes throughout the day, I'd hear a song or I'd think about something. It was very painful. It would almost hurt because I would turn around and I'd think, oh, well, I would have done it this way. Oh, where is he? Yeah, it was very, very, very hard. It's not hard anymore, though, because here's the thing. Let me go back to this. Self-esteem and self-respect. Yes. Because there was no contact, I could trust myself to say, okay, this is good. You're doing this. Self-respect. And increase my self-esteem. Yeah, I respected myself. To not go there. And I respect, my self-esteem is like way up here now. And my self-respect and my dignity is way up here because I took the time to go through what I had to go through. There you go. Was it painful? Oh, yeah. It was painful. But I didn't die. You're not going to die. If you go through this so you can tell your granddaughter or your daughters, you will not die. It's all about dopamine anyways, right? Right. Falling in love is like being on cocaine. You're hitting a receptor in the brain. You're filling it with dopamine. That you're always talking about them. You're always thinking about them. And when you do, it creates this dopamine. Well, after 2 or 3 years, the receptor, there's not as much dopamine coming in. And a lot of people think, oh, well, this isn't love anymore. I'm not getting that dopamine that I want anymore because it's been over the long haul. But I will tell you, when there's a breakup, That's where commitment would come in. You need to be committed so that you go the long haul and quit being a baby over everything, you know. Learn to be committed over something, you know, honor him and honor yourself to be committed. Well, they say when there's a breakup, you want that dopamine hit. Where is it? Where's my dopamine? So what happens is that you keep thinking about them and you're trying to fill your brain with the dopamine. That's what that's all about. I know it's all chemically scientific, right? Yeah. So we must love ourselves and we must go inward. We must see where the problems are, because I'll tell you what, it takes two. It takes two. You cannot blame. It takes two. And even if the other person was to blame, or let's say you were to blame and he's off healing, or, you know, vice versa, whoever it is, one person, they both need to heal and to go inward to find out why. Why is this happening? Why did this happen? Why did I do that? If it's a pattern, why is this a pattern? Why do I keep doing this? And why did I pick this person? I don't want to do this again. So why did I do it? Going inward to find why. Why did I pick this particular person? What was I gaining? What did I want to gain from it? So you got to go inward and kind of look at things. A lot of people think, oh, I just don't have the time for that. Well, not everybody's the same. We're not the same. But for moi, that's what I needed. And so I suggest that you all do it too. But, you know, if you might be, if you're a guy, you might think, oh, yeah, like as if the relationship wasn't as bad. Now I got to go in and find out why I didn't know. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But I guarantee that you're going to just find somebody else. You're going to somehow replace that person. You're going to go right back into it again. So I really do recommend that you do that. In anything, here's the thing. This has to do with commitment. I found this. In anything in life, we have to wake up in the morning, every morning, and choose your choice. You know, somebody asked, well, what are you so afraid of? And one guy said, well, I'm afraid that I will get married or whatever, and I will meet somebody else that I like better. And the woman that wanted to get married, she says, is that all? He's like, whoa, okay, what kind of woman is this that would say that? Well, she says, well, of course you're going to meet somebody you might want to be with on a certain day more than you want to be with me. I mean, we're both going to get older. We're both going to, we're both going to get older. You're going to see younger women, and you're going to see, and the women are going to see younger men, or they're going to maybe meet somebody else who makes more money or something like that. You know, so he says, so she said, what you need to do, the trick is to every morning wake up and choose your wife, choose your girlfriend, choose her. Every morning it has to happen. I choose you. And then you can work it out. I mean, that's not the hookup culture, right? So, and then he went on to say that includes your partner, your work, and your goals. And anything great you're going to do in life. Yeah, you have to wake up and choose your choice. Man, otherwise, oh my God, don't you think that's profound? Otherwise, every morning you're going to wake up and you're going to go, I don't want to do that anymore. But that's what you built up. Unless it's so bad, of course, you're going to change. But how many in our world now change their jobs all the time? They don't really go for it. Just like me doing videos. I wake up every morning and I choose my choice. This is what I do. This is what I research. I get better and better at it. I practice with it every day. I practice talking to you. That's you. Yeah, I talk and I learn new apps. I'm always trying to refresh things. So you have to wake up and choose your choice. How's that? Now, I did say something about, I think I already mentioned it, memes about betrayal. They know what they did, yada, yada, yada. Both people are thinking the same thing. You know, how dare he do this to me? He knows what he did to me, and he'll never. Yeah. Well, he's thinking, I know what she did to me. She knows, and I think that's a bunch of malarkey. Yeah, but they're all over the place on social media. Okay. Next, coffee. Ooh, we're getting up there on time. Feel what you feel. Suffer through. Cry. Write letters to yourself. Oh yeah, don't send them to anybody, because remember, there's no contact. And watch whose shoulder you cry on. Boy, I learned my lesson on that. You think that they're your friends? Yeah. You cry on their shoulders? Oh, I learned that. Oh, I learned that the hard way. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I am so distrusting. I haven't made, the only friends I've made, you guys are my friends, but the only friends I've made as far as like the nomad world, face-to-face friends, they live in houses. They're not in the nomad world, okay? And they've been vetted, okay? Yeah, I've been there, done that. Watch whose shoulders you cry on. Now, for me, it says, go through the process every single day. Every day is a new day. I remember after about 2-3 months, one day would be good, and I'd say, oh, this is great. Okay, time to move on. The next day, I'd be sitting back here crying. Oh my gosh. It was, so I picked friends that had been vetted, and I knew. And then, of course, my son was right there with me the whole way. And I would write him text on how I felt. I told him, you don't have to answer. This is just the spot where this is going to land, because I need to express this. And yeah, and he was like, far out, okay. And I knew that it wouldn't go any further. And then I had friends here that I made. I knew it would not go any further. Yeah. And because, like I said, you got to vet your friends these days. Yeah. And especially with somebody, what was hard was somebody like me who is a little bit recognizable. And yeah, it'd be like finding out. Yeah. All I can say is I learned the hard way. That's all I got to say. Eventually, because every day it's a new process every day. It's like you have to choose your choice. There you go. You have to choose your choice that you broke it. You don't want it, no contact, and you have to choose it every day. But it's still a sad thing to go through. And eventually you will stop thinking of them every single second. Yeah, you will stop. It'll end. Eventually it will end, and eventually it will just drop off. It really will. Every once in a while you might remember and you think, oh, okay, and then I talked about the dopamine. Oh my gosh. Okay. Grieve. Here's where the grieving comes in. This is what my son told me. He said, you are not so much grieving the loss of him. You are grieving the loss of a future that you thought you had. There's where the key is. And then since I've seen that written on social media, I've seen that a lot, where that's where your real grieving comes in. You thought you were going to go in one direction, and you have to it's like a halt, like you're driving and bam, you hit a wall. And you think, oh, well, now which way do I go? Because this is done. I have a roadblock here. So you have to put yourself a new future. Oh my gosh. But can it be done? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you can do a new future. Mine is still up in the air. I don't know. I do know I make my choice every morning that I make videos, and I'll keep learning and, getting my craft perfected. Yeah. So I know that is there. But you do have to spend time grieving the future, the fantasy future you had. Yeah. There will always be a connection, but it won't be a painful one. Eventually it won't be a painful one, yeah. And you may even be able to have contact with that person, but not for a very long time. Yeah, not for a very long time. So here's my advice. Stay solo. If this has happened to you, this is advice you can give anybody, your family members. Stay solo. Don't Don't go off and start proving that, oh yeah, I can get a man, I can get a woman, and oh yeah, I'm gonna, and then it all just becomes physical, and we're not rabbits, you know what I mean? And we don't always have to go after that, like, well, I'll woo this person, and then eventually we'll start doing it, right? Yeah, no. You don't want to just get in somebody's pants. You want to stay solo. You want to have self-respect. You want to have your dignity. And if they really did wrong you in something that, I mean, seriously, you can't believe that they did that. You can't believe they did that. Dignity does come into play. And like, well, do I have any dignity? Or what? I mean, of course I've got to break up with this person. I can't even talk to this person anymore. Because you have self-respect. And you have self-esteem. And you love yourself. So trust yourself enough to keep your dignity. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that if you're together that you, let your ego get involved in it. And it's like, oh, well, we can't be together, my ego, no, I'm talking about something major that you have to keep your dignity and to say, no, thank you. So I wrote down, if you don't do it, you will cause great friction in your spirit if you don't stay solo. You will. And what will happen is you think, oh, well, this, you found some greener grass, right? Well, you might think, well, yeah, well, this is going to work out. The same thing's going to happen again. I mean, the same thing. You probably went for that person, or I would go for that person for the same reason that I went for him, and the same thing would happen again. And that's just crazy. Okay, those are from my notes, and I will end this because it's getting long. And I hope you enjoyed this. I do think that this is a subject that's good for everybody. If you're older and you think, been there, done that, why would I be in a relationship? And there's a lot of women my age who say that. Oh, God, I would never get in a relationship. I'm done with that. Well, you might meet somebody, because that's what I said for 25 years. And another thing is, why are you being closed off? I mean, would it be really, when you think about it, you just don't want to get hurt, maybe. You're afraid that you might get hurt, or that person might hurt you, or she might hurt you. You've been through a couple divorces already. Oh my gosh. And it's like, oh, well, those feelings don't come up anymore. Why would I even think about getting married? I don't have any sexual tension going on. Well, guess what? A lot of times you don't. You don't have that going on until you meet somebody that you might like, and then the juices start flowing. I mean, it just happens. It does. You know what I'm talking about, right? This isn't a children's program. You know what I'm talking about. But that's when you meet somebody and you think, maybe. Even after 25, 30 years, you can feel that again. And of course, people say, oh, when you get older, you don't have those feelings anymore. Au contraire. I think older women got them a lot more than they did when they were younger. I mean, and that's science. Women are hot, older women are. We can, it seems to work better as older women than it does. Maybe that's where cougars come from. Although I want to mention that I've recently said that cougars aren't really cougars. It's the men who are chasing the older women. And I've had it happen just recently. I said, how old are you? And he wouldn't tell me. And he said, you're younger than my oldest daughter. And he says, but I can handle it. And I go, well, maybe, but no, no, thank you. I like men my own age, Don't think that this is not a subject that shouldn't be addressed, because we have girls, we have daughters and sons who might go through this. We have grandchildren that are going to go through this. And they might need some advice. And I hope that I've given you some on if there is a breakup. And, people get divorced after a while too. But if there's a breakup, it's not an easy situation. It's not an easy process. It is so sad. I think it might be different if you've been married for like 25 years and it's like, I can't even stand this person anymore. But it wasn't the case with me. I was deeply, deeply in love. And yeah, that was something to go through. Am I a better person for it? I don't know. But I do know that I have a new future ahead of me. And I do know that I learned a lot. Yeah, I did. So, okay, well, I'm going to end this. Please subscribe. And I got more stuff coming. Is this the last time I'm going to visit this subject? Probably not, but not every day. But every once in a while I might say, well, here I am. And this is what I've learned. This is also what I've learned. And you have been on this journey with me. It's been a very public, my life has been public for the past 4 years. Might as well just keep going with it, right? I love you guys. Till tomorrow. New things, new subject. Bye, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed making it. It was on Easter. It was on Sunday. Well, I'm not sure. I know, listen to my, I'm going to cough here. I'm not sure when my next video will be. Probably in a couple days. I mean, obviously I can talk. And I do enjoy this. This is really my life. This is what I love to do. I love to talk to you and bring you things. So until we meet again, okay? I love you guys. Bye.